Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. We've got our challenges set out for us again today. This one was sent in by Pete in Pennsylvania. This is a Penn 6500 SS. Quite honestly, it doesn't turn. The handle came in separately, and well, you can just see there's all kinds of dirt and debris and junk inside the chamber here. But I want to just see if I can turn this manually and if the gearing is turning at all. Yeah, we have gears that have turned. So we're going to take this reel apart and try to restore it, try to give it a second chance repeat. And well, we'll see what we can do. This is my favorite series of the reel. It's the black and gold series. So well made. And well, you just have to keep them serviced in order to keep them running. We're going to start this by removing our exterior pieces. The handle was already off. We removed the spool by removing the adjuster button. Now we're going to remove the side case, which is held in by 3 screws. While I do this, that one cracks, so I want to make sure that we can put a little bit of penetrating oil in here, see if that can help loosen some of this as we go about doing this. This is a metal screws into a metal case, and that's taking everything I can to get that out. That's probably why this reel hasn't been serviced. Well, I paused the video for a minute there, and I've been continually applying this. These screws are very, very tight. That makes sense. There we go. It's finally loosened up. All right. Metal case, metal screws, salt. It all just jams the threads. And well, if you're not careful, you can rip these off, shear the heads off. So just take your time, be patient, and generally you can work these out. If I take this one out, if this isn't showing the same, I'll show you the one that just came out. Yeah, we can just see on this one, all of that threads up top here, all have got the salt and debris in it, which was holding it in. All right, the 3 screws, I'm going to get some of this oil off of here. 3 screws hold that side case on. Next challenge, I guess, let's see if this has got the screw underneath. Certain models of this reel have got a screw that holds the main gear shaft and main gear in place, and you can't take the case off. No, this isn't one of those. But again, you can see the dirt and debris in that cap. When I take my pieces and parts off, they go into a parts tray, and well, that's for safekeeping, so that when I go to reinstall, I know where they are. This one's going to be a tough one to work on. I just sense that everything is going to be all salted up in there. I'm going to try and remove this thing with a razor knife as a wedge. And this should give us our first look at what's going on. Oh, look at this. Alright, that's the candidate for probably the worst ever that I have seen. Totally salted. Makes you wonder, has this thing been dunked in the ocean? Because that is just absolutely incredible, and it makes all the sense in the world that it doesn't work. And we're going to see if there's any broken parts in here. That'll be the next one. And well, this one's going to take a while. This one's not something that's an easy solve. What I'm probably going to do, I think, before I even use an ultrasonic cleaner or anything, I think I'm just going to go outside, take a hose, or stay inside here and grab a bucket and just let the water do all the work here. So we're going to pause this video. We'll come back to it. I want to get this junk off my desk here because I don't want that transferring to the next reel. Okay. I fear this presentation is going to be very disjointed. We got this back from the ultrasonic, and I've spent probably another 20 minutes or so just scraping out all kinds of debris that wasn't flushed out. And I'm going to put this case in one more time. It's a lot more clean now than it was, but I think one more bath in the ultrasonic will help. Before I do that, I clean up my desk a little bit here, and I'm going to take the rotor off now and try to get the rest of the assembly off. So this is just a massive project. Some of the stuff did come out nicely. I was able, for the most part, to clean up the main gear and the oscillation gear. And again, still some more in here, so one more shot in that ultrasonic bath. Cleaned up the debris that was on the crossline block and in the internal channel. The axle shaft is stainless steel. That's one thing that actually did not get any kind of evidence of damage at all. And well, we'll take care of the rest of this. There is a lock down there. And when I take the pieces and parts off, if I hadn't mentioned it before, they're all going into a parts tray. That parts tray is kind of keeping them separated so I do know where they are. And I am also putting a paper towel onto the desk here so that I can limit the amount of dirt and debris and the light that gets transferred. Okay, we've cleaned the inner bowl. This one's still firing pretty good. I am going to use a spray of penetrating oil on the seam. You can put some over here, but this is a dead end on this piece. There's no springs or anything in that. That's just a holder for the back end of the bail. And just kind of work it in and out. You hear a little bit of dirt and debris in there, but for the most part I think we're okay with that. So let's look up top here. There is still some of that debris in the light, but nothing like what it was on the other one. And the whole hope here is that we're going to be able to get some of this stuff off. A lot of times these screws will just get set in place. Well, we were lucky. All right, we're going to take off the anti-reverse dog and ratchet. This is a finger dog. It has a finger on both sides of the ratchet that operate it. You can see it here. I'll take that off because we want to clean these pieces as well. You can just see all of the dirt and debris coming off of that. Same here. And there's some on the back of this. Fortunately, it doesn't look like the dirt up in the case is as bad as it is as it was up top, or whatever, vice versa, I guess. This is the way it sets, so that'll go back into my tray. I'm not sure if this override is working. I'm going to take this piece off if we can. This is the arm that should be moving. Again, we'll take our best shot at this. I've removed the glove. I've been in and out of this project. And now we'll try and remove the 3 screws that are holding the collar down. Good place to take the pictures so that you know how this seats. On this collar, one side is longer than the other, if I remember this wheel. The shorter side goes towards here. Check it out in a moment. And then, of course, the question is going to be, can I get that pinion gear and bearing out? And this may be the first time I have an opportunity to use a slide hammer, if I need to, that Chris and Rick sent in to me. So far I've been pretty good about being lucky here. Okay, this one looks like the plate is symmetrical. This is the top side. I'm going to lay it top side up in my parts tray so that I remember that. I feel all kinds of sand and stuff. We have a little collar that comes next. And let's see what we can do here. So my first attempts are always just to kind of pull it out manually. Second attempt is to put some penetrating oil on it, both sides. Reattach the rotor and see if we can bring it up that way. And if not, we're going to go for that slide handle. Okay, tighten that up manually. Use this as a knob. You can try and shake a little bit better than you can manually. I'm trying to work that up. Let's see if that's having any effect. Well, it's not having any effect at all. So, well, the time may have come. All right, we're going to shut this off, see what we can do. Okay, well, this is bringing out the big guns now. Rick and Chris actually sent this to me. It's got a sliding weight on a handlebar, a nut cap, and an adjuster. So it's going to work like this. I'm going to take that cap. Well, I guess I got to take this one off now. Otherwise I don't have the clearance. There's a little spring on this one. I was trying to avoid having to remove this. Not terrible. Take a picture of this one with the spring. So the spring runs on the neck of the dog. Wraps around and gets seated here. Take a picture. Let's see if we can get this in now. So first part in is the rotor nut goes on. Now Chris tells me that this always works. We'll see. So you don't want to bang anything. You don't want to take that rotor and put that on and bang the rotor. That's not going to get it done. You're not going to be able to do anything from underneath because you have that little stud attachment there. So this is an acceptable alternative if we can get it to work. Once you start threading that, I'm going to try to hold the pinion gear, bring it down with a wrench. Next step then would be to bring the slide side through. Put that nut cap on. Now the whole idea here is to hold tight and take your slide hammer, your metal weight, and hit. And there you go. Wow. Hey Chris, it took me, I don't know, 8 months to have a need for it, but there it is. That's one heck of a tool. Thank you to you and Rick for providing that. And never say never. I've been on quite a streak, but that's the first time that I've actually had to use one of these. Appreciate the contribution there, Chris. All right, that's Chris Jenkins. He's been watching our channel for a very long time, and thought he saw the need for it. Sent it along with Rick Steves, who well, has been very helpful as well. Okay. That out. We're going to do the same thing we did here with the other one. Pick through the teeth. And now what we're going to do, shut the camera off, put it all back into that ultrasonic cleaner one more time. We'll come back and see if alright, this bearing is not very good. I think this bearing has to get replaced. Alright, we'll come back, we'll get some additional cleaning done, and well, we'll see if we can't put it all back together again and make it work. Well, this has turned into quite a project with multiple ultrasonic baths and cleaning and scrubbing and everything else and problem identification, but I think we're finally ready to put this thing back together again. The ultrasonic cleaner did a nice job getting rid of some of that salt and sand, and well, what that didn't do, we did manually by just scraping and using various cleaning techniques on it. Well, let's try and put this thing back together again. I'm going to start with the last pieces we took out, which is that pinion gear and the bearing. I have no doubt that the reel will function again. The question is, how well will it function? The teeth look like they're defined, and it doesn't look like there's any corrosion or things that may have impacted that. We did have to get a replacement bearing here. Fortunately, I had one in stock, and now we'll just take that bearing. I guess we can put a little bit of grease behind the bearing where that inner race is going to ride. Bring that over. Insert the bearing a little bit onto the stud that goes through the case. Now we can take that assembly and put that back into the case. And just as hard as it was to come out is... there we go. It's in. Alright, take the collar, which I've had sitting in the up position. That goes next. And if I can find my screw starter, that's generally what I like to use for these small screws. That collar came off. That's okay, I remember which is which. Let's get these in. Now, this is a Klein tool. It's a split blade that holds these in place, courtesy of Dick, one of our channel viewers. I do not fully tighten these down all the way. That blade is somewhat sensitive. Don't use it to torque things, just use it to do what it was intended to do, which is be a screw starter. Let's finish tightening them off once all of those are set. Okay. Next up then, I want to put the one that has the spring assembly in it. You remember that one, you took pictures of it, right? This one is going to wrap around the post. Be seated like this, wrap around the post, and this back neck here is going to grab the back of that anti-reverse dog. So it's going to come in like this to be mounted, hold the spring, bring it in, bring it over, and then center it to the mounting hole. With that centered, you can start your screw. And this one has a shoulder on it, so you need to make sure that that shoulder is actually not jamming against the sideline, but rather goes inside. Okay, then let's take that override off, and you'll see that it will spring back. And this is your noisemaker. Next up, we'll put the assembly on that controls that. Get that right for the override. And grab the screw for the center of that. Get that started. And you can put a drop of oil on that. Right. On this assembly, it's going to leave it open. You're going to be in override position. It won't work. You're going to bring it back. It will flip in and out to make the noise. This is your override. When you bring that in, that's going to override the other one. And push off. Okay. Bring our assembly for the other one in, but first you need to mount that collar on your new bearing. I'm going to put this in the off position. It'll make it easier to mount this. Find your two flat sides that the cog goes on. Bring the assembly over. And then work it so that the hole in your anti-reverse aligns with the hole in the case. Bring this on. So one is kind of a bait alarm and the other is a silent anti-reverse. And if you're really fighting big fish, leave them both on. Alright, and to make sure that it works by turning your attention there. This is an eccentric driven one, so as you're going forward it's fine. As you go to back up, it pulls it in to stop it. Alright, next up then we can mount the rotor. Again, we've taken the time to oil those sleeves on the rotor. This is what I call a bang bail. It's going to hit this post here to trip. One of the things that was nice about that slide hammer is you didn't risk any kind of injury to the threads on this. All right, bring that down. Tighten that up, and well, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, if you want to leave those questions in the comment section, I will try to answer those for you. A little bit of oil there. We use the penetrating oil just to kind of loosen it up. Go ahead and put some regular oil in those seams as well. Give it a spin, make sure it turns. Look at that, we got a reel that's turning for the first time in a very long time. Okay, let's bring the rest of it back together then. Let's start with the oscillation gear. Should have a glove on for this. I think we'll go ahead and take a moment here because we'll be greasing up and, well, quite honestly, I get a little tired of having the grease on my hands all the time, so let's go do this. Use fishing reel grease. I'm using Penn Precision reel grease for the service. Back of it gets grease. Inside that stud gets grease. All of the teeth get greased. And the face gets greased where the crosswind block is going to ride. That goes in. Next up will be the crosswind block then. The only thing you need on the crosswind block is the back. The only thing contacting anything is the back shield here and that groove. Place that groove over the stud in that oscillation gear so that it looks like this, and bring it down to the bottom. It's going to be easier for you to mount the axle shaft. Next up we can grease the main gear. Bring all of that together. Grease the teeth on the front and the back. The back one is going to drive the oscillation gear. The front is going to drive the rotor. Once that's greased, you can go ahead and insert that into the back case bearing. Make sure it locks into the pinion gear. Next up, insert the axle shaft, just a light coating of grease on that, through the pinion gear, down into the case, and then make sure that the flat side of that axle shaft is even with the flat bar section here. Bring the bar in, line the holes, and then you can use that screw starter again. Let's do the other one. And again, I don't finish the screw tightening with this. I only use it to start it. Okay, next up is our side plate. bring that on. I'm going to give it a test right now. Oh my God. So there's a little noise in there still. It's probably the gear noise, but you know what? It's turning free and easy. All right, we're going to bring in our parts tray that has the pieces for the side plate, which was started so long ago. We'll tighten these up. And we'll just take a look at that spool. You know what, I like the other screwdriver better for this. It's got a slightly wider blade to it. A drop of oil into the bearing. Drop of oil into the other side bearing. Bearing cap can go on. This was set up as a right-handed crank. So I put the right-hand crank on. These are swappable. All you have to do is change those collars. You can convert this from a right to a left-handed side reel. All right, quick look at the spool. I suspect that the drag washers are probably in the same condition that the lower end of the reel was in. So let's remove the O-ring or the spring here that holds that assembly in place. We'll pull up and out on these. There's a Teflon washer in the bottom. Yeah, we have a lot of dirt in here, no surprise. I'm going to use the penetrating oil again to just kind of dissolve, and then I'll use a paper towel to clean out that cavity. Any dirt is going to impact the performance of that reel. Okay, first one is a Teflon. And we have traditional 6-drag system. So we go with the keyed washer first. The fabric washers are very dry, so we're going to use some grease on that. I'm using Cal's Universal Drag Grease, but you don't have to use that. If you have regular fishing reel grease, don't run out and get the drag grease. Just go ahead and use your fishing reel grease. Put the top washer in now. The second of the keyed washers, those are the ones that have the rectangular center. And we'll put that retaining clip back in. If you've lost that retaining clip, if it's shot off on your bench somewhere, don't worry terribly. It just means the next time you take your spool off, those drag washers will probably come out with it. All right, clean the back of that. Drop of oil onto the little click spring here. Bring this back on. Needless to say, with the reel in the condition that it is in, it makes total sense to replace that line. I'm sure that line has been on there since the reel fell into disrepair, so you want to make sure that, well, you do it right. Okay, we're locked down on that. Let's put our pieces away, give it a test. Okay, let's give it a crank. Well, it's from a reel that didn't turn at all to a reel that turns pretty darn nice. There's some noise in there. Some of it I think is going to be the gear wear on there. It's been around a long time. Look at that, the bail flips nice and easy. Well, you can't do it there. Bail flips nice and easily. Relatively quiet. That new bearing makes a difference on top. I guess if you wanted to go crazy, you could replace the 2 side bearings. But you know what? This one's running nicely. And given the condition that it came into the shop, I think we would be fine. Let's see if... Okay, very good. All right, that's the Penn 6500, one of the worst condition reels I've ever seen come into my shop from a mechanical standpoint. And that's how you take this reel apart, service it, and give it a second chance. I hope you've enjoyed that. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody fun on the water and a great day.